started a public art project, and I think I can talk about it because we're not, this podcast isn't going to go public. They haven't announced it yet, but this podcast won't go until it's announced. So I'm actually working with PBS on they have this incredible thing that they started called American Portrait, and it's this story portal where like tens of thousands of people are giving these kind of testimonials and stories and answering these story prompts, like the tradition I carry forward is, or a challenge I've overcome, or what family means to me, all these different kinds of questions, and they're answering these questions. And then PBS is working with 3 artists to do public art projects like around the country that are sort of amplify this. And, like I was saying, I was working with the Million Person Project. Like, I love storytelling. I believe so much in the power of storytelling. And, that's why I was asking you about your story, because I just think us sharing is it, and so when they asked me to do this, I was like, fuck yeah, I'm obsessed with storytelling. I love getting people together to tell stories. And so the thing I proposed was, it's a sculpture called The House Our Families Built, and it's this kind of, it's actually a box truck that's going to travel around the city, and then it's going to open up into this kind of spatio confusing sort of home sculpture. And
I saw the photo.
That's what it is. Yeah. But that's okay, because that's what it is. I haven't said what it is yet. I just keep sharing these photos and people are like, what are you doing? That's what it is.
I saw the front of the box
truck. Yes.
This way, and it's got like all the pattern on the front. I was like, yo, that's sick.
We're working on that. Yeah, so that's gonna start going around New York City at the end of January. And it's like COVID times, public art in COVID times, so it's kind of crazy, but we're figuring it out. We're just like, figuring out how to work and live around it. And my friend Jeff Stark has gone like a deep dive into the site, and he's made a performance like built out of all these different testimonials. And so it's this piece of public art that's about storytelling. It's about I'm sort of taking on a few questions that are like, what is the legacy that I choose to leave behind? And, thinking about like over this summer, everyone trying to understand, how do we let go of our nation's legacy of white supremacy? How do we grow past that? And so I've been sort of looking into the ways that my own family history is like directly related to the legacy of white supremacy, and thinking about, how do we actively let go of those legacies? How do we say goodbye to those ancestral histories, or acknowledge them and grieve them and let them go? And so that's like one of the things we're thinking about with the project. We're also thinking about, trauma and addiction, and also the loving things, the recipes, the food, what from our families do we choose to keep? And so that's what I'm working on. Even though we're in the middle of all this pandemic and this shutdown, I'm somehow still managing to make this really publicly engaged and engaging work through these videos. We're going to do workshops, and then we're going to also have the truck, all willing. The truck will be outside. And I think that it might be a great way for people to see art, because you maybe you don't want to be in museums right now, but you can still go outside and experience this public sculpture.
That's so dope, man. I can't wait to see what happens, or when it comes to fruition and you guys have it all out there. And of course, would love to find a way to time this at the time that you can actually
that'd be great.
Broadcast that.